meditate on your bed. It's got all these sleep vibrations on it, you know what I mean? And that's the last thing you need, okay? So it should be totally different space. Now my students in the East Village are all broke, and they have this tiny little rooms, and you know, you're not gonna have a separate wall or anything like that, but you dedicate a corner of your room to your meditation. It shouldn't be your bed, okay? And on the ground is very good. It should be on the ground. So it should be like that, in one corner of your room. I have some students who hang a curtain from the ceiling to the ground, and they meditate behind there. I think closets I've found are too small, and they don't work out too good, okay? Then you clean up your room, okay? The first thing you do is after you've finished with the boogies, you, oh, by the way, have something to drink. You know, all the lamas say, hydrate your body, you know. It's water, weak tea. Coffee is dangerous, but if you need it, okay. Or some kind of juice. But something that your stomach won't have to work on, okay? I think the best, personally, okay, and when you get into meditation, it becomes a personal thing. You know, I mean, what's good for my body might not be good for your body. And you have to experiment. Jetson Kappa in the text on meditation says, look, here's the general instructions, but you have to experiment with your own body what's the best thing to do. But personally, I find if I haven't eaten for like 12 hours, it's really good. You know, if my stomach is 12 hours empty, it's really, really good. I find that trying to meditate with any kind of food in my stomach is a disaster usually. You know what I mean? It doesn't work. So I think you'll find out that it's not good to meditate with food in your stomach, okay? Then you go into your room and you straighten it up. The meditation area should be simple, sacred, quiet, clean, attractive. It has all this ambiance of a sweet place. You know, like you've walked into places that have it, and you've walked into other places that don't have it, and you know the difference, you know. That area of your room, okay, at least that area, maybe not the rest, should be somehow very beautiful and sacred space, you know what I mean? And so it should be nice. I think tendency in the West is to collect too much junk, and so it becomes just like a mishmash of stuff on your altar. And you know, what my Lama does is he has many, many holy objects, many, many, you know, important images, and he rotates them. It's like the Newark Museum does that. You see, you can't have them all up on your altar at the same time. Like, just rotate them in and out, you know what I mean? It also helps make it more fun. You know, like if you have a particularly nice picture of a Lama, put that for a while, and then pack it up, and then put a different picture for a while, and your altar can be like a constantly evolving thing, and that's fine. Okay, instead of, you know, 20 pictures that you can't see any of them on the altar because there's too many of them or something like that. Okay, it should be beautiful, simple, and it should be dedicated for that purpose. If somebody walks into your room, they say, something important is going on in this corner, because it just feels special, you know, something special there. Cleaning also wakes you up, okay? You know, the act of sweeping the entire room, cleaning the pictures, things like that, it gets you moving, okay? And that's important. It's very difficult to go straight from the bed onto the meditation cushion. You need some kind of action going on between those, and it helps you. It helps the meditation, okay? There's another half to the first one. Say kusung, tukten, dam. Kusung, tukten, dam. Okay. Ku means the holy body of an enlightened being. Okay. What's the holy body of an enlightened being look like? Whatever you want. Okay. Whatever they want. Okay. Like the Nirmanakaya can appear as a room full of normal Americans. Okay. The Sambhogakaya would be the most attractive thing you can think of. So for an American, it might look like, you know, Schwarzenegger or a Playboy bunny or something like that. Okay, I mean they would be something that's very beautiful to you, and in your culture, and with your mental seeds, a Buddha would be careful to fit themselves to you. You see what I mean? They would be the most attractive thing that you could imagine, and that's their job. That's what a Nirmanakaya does. And your Sambhogakaya will be the sweetest thing you can think of, or a little bit better than that, actually. Okay, so that's the holy body of a Buddha. Sung means their speech. Okay, what they say. And the greatest quality of a Buddha's speech is that no matter what language they speak in, and no matter what they're talking about, it strikes the listener as like the greatest thing that they could be saying at that time, and they always hear it in their own language. Okay, so a Buddha can stand up there and speak Sanskrit, and everybody hears their own language. That's one of the best. In other words, Buddhas are very good at relating to normal people. Okay, Tuk means their mind. Okay, a Buddha's enlightened mind. The ability to see every single object in the universe at the same time. Period. Past, present, and future. They see everything in the universe in the same moment. Okay. Den means a location for them. Okay. And Kusum Tukten is the Tibetan word for an altar. Okay. Location for the body, speech, and mind of an enlightened being. So this would be called a Kusum Tukten. Okay. Up here. And this would be a Kusum Tukten. All right. Dham means set it up. Okay. Dham means set it up. So the first of the preliminaries is actually two things. Clean up your sacred space and set up an altar. Okay? Set up an altar. I think it's very important to say that this is not a Buddha. Okay? I mean, people, I hope it doesn't happen in America, but you know, if you had a choice between an altar or Lama Supa sitting there, I mean, you have to realize that one is a Buddha and one is not. You know what I mean? It's just a picture. It's just an image, okay? And it's a lousy image, to tell you the truth. You know what I mean? The real thing is much, much more powerful. And I think you have to be careful not to request and not to worship a picture or an image. It's not the real thing, okay? I mean, it has importance, and it's a great thing that we have it there, but that's not the real thing, okay? When you visualize a Buddha, which is going to come later, for God's sake, don't visualize a tanka, okay? Got the difference? I'm afraid that most people are visualizing the last tanka they saw, you know, the last painting they saw of a Buddha, or they're visualizing a statue with a big belly or something. You know what I mean? It's not like that. You're not. This is just a representation of a thing which is much more amazing, right? And it's important to have one. It's important to have an altar. But Jetsun in his text, he warns you. He says, don't sit there. He says it was popular in some parts of China maybe or India to sit in front of a Buddha picture and stare at it. And they thought that was a good meditation. He said, no. Meditation is yiki namshe. Say yi, ki, namshe. Yiki namshe. Yiki namshe means visualization is always a mental consciousness. Your other sense consciousness are shut down. Okay? The idea that you would sit in front of a picture and stare at it and that's meditation does not help you perceive emptiness. You see what I mean? You have to get to where you have gone out of your body. You've withdrawn from all your senses. And real meditation takes place in the mind. not in the eyeball. You know, I've had people say to me, I say, what are you meditating on? They say, I stare at a lamp, you know, and I try to see it. Or Jetsun Kappa was very critical of the idea that you should, people read in the scripture that emptiness is like a mirror, you know? Like, if you understand how a mirror works, you understand how emptiness works. And so all these people went out and bought mirrors and would stare at mirrors, you know? And he said, come on, you don't get it at all. You know, it's a metaphor, you know what I mean? So it's not done with your eyeballs, okay? Even the path of seeing, right, means to see with your mind, okay? Not to see with your eyeballs, all right? So it's very important to have an altar. It's very important to have your pictures of your lamas and the Buddha, representation of the Buddha's body. Like if you have Lama Supa's picture here, you have a representation of the Buddha's body. Then you put a scripture here, some kind of scripture. Okay, my students, we put out these CD-ROMs with thousands of Tibetan books on them, and that's really a cheap 60 cents. Okay, you can have all the Buddhist scriptures on your altar. You know, this is a cool way to do it. And then for Tuk, for the mind, normally they put a little stupa. If you saw when we did the mandala this morning, the last thing they offered was a stupa, and it represents the Buddha's mind. Okay, and that's all. And you set up an altar, but it doesn't mean this is the Buddha. Okay, the Buddha does come into your room while you're meditating, but where are they? They say in the scripture very clearly, all the Buddhas in the universe can fit on the tip of a pin. Okay, all the Buddhas in the universe can fit on the tip of a pin. Okay, and you go through this big deal of inviting them to come. They're omniscient. They knew 1,000,000 years ago you were going to ask them to come. It's not like they were waiting, you know what I mean? And they do appear, you know, they're already there. But you go through this process of asking anyway. Not for their benefit, for your benefit, okay? Because it's good to ask, okay? So that's setting up your altar. I think there's two extremes with altars. You know, some people think that's the Buddha, which is one extreme. And they get into altar worship, you know what I mean? And then the Lama comes and they're like, yeah, who are you, you know? You don't have this stuff, you know? And that's a big mistake. And then I think the other extreme is people who say, I don't need those images. My mind is my temple, you know? And then they don't have any images of holy beings on there. And I think that's another mistake, you know? You should have pictures of your sweet, holy, wonderful, sexy lamas. And you should look at them from time to time and say, thank you, and I love you, and, you know, like that. And it's very good to have them, okay? Like that. Say Chepa, Sham. Chepa, Sham. Chepa means offerings, okay? Sham means put them out on your altar, you know, put them there. This is a very specific practice. At the minimum, you know, have ready a small flower, a little hostess Twinkie, you know, just some kind of little thing like, I'm offering this to you in the morning, you know, a piece of fruit or something. You know, you have to get it the night before, right? You get it the day before, and you have it ready in your refrigerator, and then when you set up your altar and when you cleaned everything, you have that ready. By the way, if you're cleaning every morning, the size of a meditation area in the East Village in New York, it don't take too long, because it's about 2 square feet, you know. So it's not like you spend an hour cleaning the room. You just straighten it up slightly. The point is not to clean it's not to get the dust off things. It's the spiritual exercise of cleaning. You know what I mean? And they say that as you clean, you're supposed to think that you're cleaning your mind. Okay, so while you're cleaning things, you're thinking, I'm cleaning my mind. And if you get into it, you'll see how that little space gets cleaner and cleaner and cleaner. You know, and finally, you're dealing with little tiny dust particles. And this represents it's symbolic of the cleaning of your mind. You know, first you get the first day you get all the main garbage out. And then it becomes cleaner and cleaner and cleaner. And finally, it's just light maintenance, right? You're just touching up with a feather duster or something. And that represents how you clean your mind, okay? With offering, the Buddhas don't come and, it's not like Santa Claus coming and eating the cookies and drinking the milk, okay? We used to be really disappointed when we wake up and we'd sneak out before my parents had time to clean it up, and it would still be there, and the presents were there already, so we knew something was going on, you know? And it's not like they come and they eat the stuff and they drink the stuff. Buddhists don't need anything to eat. They don't eat food. They have other kinds of sustenance. So it's not like you're putting it out for them. It's for you, okay? It's the act of putting out something beautiful and thinking that you're inviting them into your room, okay? So you put out some kind of beautiful offerings. Make it fresh, change it all. Flowers are really, really good. Flowers also have some significance in Tantra about the chakras. So it's also very auspicious to put out some flowers, okay? In Tibet, there became a custom of putting out water bowls, okay? And these are little cups or little bowls that you can use, okay? I'll tell you a little bit about what they mean, okay? Normally it's a 7 or 8. The first one is normally, we're talking to your left, okay? As you face the altar, you start from your left and you start laying out these bowls, okay? Normally you stack them all together. You pour some water in the top one, and then you take the top one out and you pour most of the water into the second one, and you set that one down on the left, your left as you're facing the altar. And then you take the second one and you pour most of the water into the third one and set that out. You don't set them all out and then pour water into them. And this represents the passing on of knowledge through the lineage, okay? Of the turning of the wheel, meaning teacher to student who becomes the teacher for the next generation, okay? So like, I'm teaching you today. In a year or 2 years or 3 years, you'll be teaching your own students. And then the idea is that the lineage goes on like that. The water is poured from person to person. And you don't own the water. You're just a receptacle for it. You know what I mean? People tend to start to think of themselves as owning the water. And that's not the idea. You are just passing it on to the next generation. You know, you're just a vehicle or a vessel. And you're supposed to think of that when you set out your water bowls. Why do they use water? It's because it's so cheap. And it's supposed to be a really bad deed to offer more than you are capable. Like if you offer something that's very expensive, and then 2 hours later you start to question yourself, maybe I shouldn't have spent that much money. It's supposed to be really special kind of bad karma. So they say if you offer water, then probably you're not going to regret it like 2 hours later. You know, like, I really wanted that glass of water myself. You know what I mean? So the idea is something so cheap and so common that you won't get attached to it, you know, and you won't collect that special bad karma of regretting it later. This also applies to making offerings. You know, you should give what you can, but you shouldn't give so much that at some point you regret it. Master Shantideva said, start out by offering potatoes, okay? He said, you know, start out with carrots and potatoes and stuff like that. Start off with small things and then build up to your proper level. But I've seen many American Buddhists, they go to their first few classes, they get all excited, they go out and sell their house, they offer the money to the Lama. If the Lama's smart, they say, no, you keep it for 6 months. If you still feel that way, give it to me, you know. And then they regret it after 2 weeks. You see what I mean? So it's very important not to go through that cycle. That's why water is good, okay? Then as you set down the first, when you're done and all the bowls are laid out with a little bit of water in each one, then you go back and you start filling them up from the left, from your left as you face the altar, okay? And in the first, as you fill the first bowl, you think of, we call argam. Argam means the purpose of the first bowl is drinking water. This is offering something to drink to the lamas and to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, okay? And in your mind, you're offering something to drink, okay? You can also put a little bit of saffron in the water, and it's nice. Normally, you'd have to put it in the night before, in the pitcher, and it gets to a very sweet color. This is in India. This is common for making the water smell good, okay? The first bowl represents drinking water. The idea is that if a guest came to your house in ancient India, the first thing you'd do is to offer them something to drink, okay? And the image is of a great king coming to your lousy little apartment, and you're offering them things one by one. That's the image of the water bowls, okay? So the first one means you're offering them something to drink. As you fill up the second one, you think of bathing their feet, okay? And this is like in the Middle East, like Jesus was always doing that. People wear sandals. If you've been in India, you know, your feet are really filthy by the time you've walked down the street. All sorts of weird stuff on the street. And the idea is that you're offering to wash their feet for them, okay? In Sanskrit, it's called bating. And if you do the mudra, it's argam, bating. And then next one is called pube, or flour, okay? And you make an offering of flour. Here you have an option. You can either pour water in a bowl, or you can fill up the bowl with rice and put a fresh flour there. You know, cut a fresh flour and set it right there on the rice. So you can do it either way. You can imagine that the water represents a flower, or you can actually put a flower there. And rice is very nice for holding them. So if you get a rose and you want to stick it up, then the rice works very well. So it's argam, padi, pube. The fourth one is dube, which means incense. Okay, and the custom is to put 2 incense sticks side by side, sticking up, out of a bowl of rice. So you fill it up with rice, you top it off like that, or you can pack it up a little bit, and then you put 2, and you can spend 20 minutes trying to get them straight. Okay, okay. It's a custom if you do the rice thing that you don't change it every day. You change the water every day. But if you put rice and some incense, you can leave that there for a while. By the way, that's the fourth bowl, and that's the center bowl, so you can kind of work off of that. You know, if you want to get it centered nicely, that's the center bowl. Okay. Normally, you're offering 7 bowls, sometimes 8. Dube. Next one is dipe. Is that right? Yeah. Dipe or alake, depending on which tantra you're in. Okay. That represents a light, okay? Like a butter lamp is good, okay? You can put a candle in there and light it. Normally, they would put a butter lamp in there, you know, a little thing. And then somebody has to teach you how to do that. If you're interested, some of the people in New York do it all the time. So, you know, you clarify the butter. You make a wick out of a small piece of flour or something, and some cotton. And it's really cool to make them, and then they burn really nice. They can burn for like 12, 15 hours, and they're really nice. So that's, you put the next one. And it represents offering to the king's senses. You know, you're offering to the sense of sight, sound, smell, taste, and you're offering all these things to the senses. So alake. And then gende. Gende means offering perfume water. Okay, and this is where you're like, wouldn't you like some perfume, you know? And you put some perfume on their body, okay, perfume water. Here you can use, again, another water bowl. Okay, so far you have 2 water bowls, and then you have a bowl with a flower in it, and then you have incense, and then you have a bowl with a lamp, and now you have another bowl with water in it, okay? Last one is gandhi, and then nudi means something to eat, okay? And normally we put rice, fill up the bowl, top it off, and put some kind of, they stack up 3 cookies sometimes or something like that. That's traditional, okay? White is better than dark, okay? Like white is supposed to mean purity of your mind or something like that. So I guess Oreos would be 50-50. My Lama is very particular. He will drag me through the grocery store for hours, looking for sugar cookies that are the right color with white speckles on them, and they can't be chipped or broken. He throws them out. He'll go through a whole package and get 3 cookies, you know, and they're stacked just right and like that. So it's considered auspicious if they're white. Again, you can just do 7 water bowls, and that's okay. That's all right. There's an 8th one which you can do. It's optional, shabda, which means music. Okay, you could put a Neil Young tape on the altar. Very good. You know, stuff like that. And don't be shy. You know, don't think the Tibetans didn't change things a little bit when Buddhism got to Tibet. I tell people this story. It's true. We have a computer project going in the Russian Academy of Sciences. They have 200,000 Tibetan books. We're cataloging them. It'll take 25 years. We finished a quarter of them, 7 years. And next door is the Hermitage Museum. And they took me in there and they said, we want you to see this, what do you call it when they make a fresco? There's a fresco that they ripped off from Karakotum or something like that. And this was before Buddhism reached Tibet, well before Buddhism reached Tibet. And it's Vajrapani. And he looks just like an American. His face is very, very much Western. He doesn't look Chinese or Tibetan. And they were drawn in Gandharvian, you know, the faces were not Oriental at all. That was after they got to Tibet and China. So, you know, you don't have to think it's funny to offer Neil Young or something like that. You know, it's what's beautiful in your culture you have to use. And eventually I think the sacred art will start to take on that. And that's fine. Why? Because they appear in any way that helps you. And if you find that most attractive, it's not like Tara can't appear as an American woman if she wanted to. You see what I mean? That's her shtick. That's what she does. She's supposed to do that. If she shows up in some form that you can't appreciate or you can't relate to, she has failed in her sacred mission. You see what I mean? And she will. So don't be embarrassed or shy to think, you know, they will be Western, and that's what they do. Okay? And you finish out and you put out these offerings like that. Okay? At the end of the day, when you take them up, you start from the back, and you dump them out, and you turn them over, and you stack them on each other like that. They're depending on each other like that. And the idea is that every night before you go to bed, the last thing you do is you pour out your offerings. And the Kadampas used to do this, the first Tibetan Buddhists used to do this to symbolize that they were wrapping up their life and they're ready to die in their sleep tonight. It means if someone came into my room tomorrow and they found this corpse in the bed, everything was already done. You know, the water bowls have been emptied, okay, you know. Okay, the next owner can have them and they'll be all dry. Okay, and that's the idea of the water bowls, okay? And that's the offering. There'll be later in the 7 limbs another offering, but that one's done in your mind, okay? That one's done after you're already in meditation. Okay, this one we're talking about before you sit down. You haven't sat down yet, right? Okay. I keep losing this thing. 3. Okay. Say Namnang, Chödun. Namnang, Chödun. Again, we had this already this morning. Namnang is Vairochana. Okay? Chö dun means the 7 details of that posture. So here, finally, you're sitting down. Okay, this is to sit down on your meditation cushion, and you go into meditation with 7 different aspects or 7 different details in your posture. We're not going to do that today. We'll do it in a later class, because it takes a long time to go through it carefully. Okay, but this is the proper way of sitting. Okay. Proper way means there's a certain way of sitting that if you can do it, it has an effect on your channels, on your inner spiritual body. You have an inner body that you can't see right now. If you did an operation and you opened up your tummy, you wouldn't find anything, okay? But there's a very, very subtle physical form that you have, which is inside of your body. And if you are in a certain arrangement, if your body is arranged in a certain way, it's very good for the flow of energy throughout your body. So that's called the 7-point meditation posture of Vairochana. Say uk, dung. Uk dung. Okay. Uk means your breath, okay? Your breath. Dung means counter breath. All right? This is a practice that's very old. It was taught by Master Vasubandhu in 350 AD in the Abhidhamma Kosha. And it's a practice of counting your breaths, okay? We can practice it tomorrow morning. It's very bad to practice it with a full tummy and a hot day in the afternoon when you didn't get any sleep the night before. Tonight I'm sure you're going to get a lot of sleep, and we'll do it in the morning, okay? But this is where you watch your breath and you count it, okay? The custom here is to do it 10 times. You're counting 10 breaths. I'll go into that just a touch. By the way, this is still part of number 3, okay? Sometimes they say 8 meditation points, 8 posture points, and breath is number 8, okay? It's additional on top of the normal 7. I'll give you a little bit about how to watch your breath. First thing to know is that the out breath is the first half and the in breath is the second half, okay? In America they say count your breaths, you go in, out is 1, and in Buddhism it's reversed. It has a very, very important significance in the practice of Tantra, okay? Everything in Tantra, in certain practices, is supposed to be coming in towards the center and not dissipating out. So it's important that when you count a breath, the first half of the breath is out and the second half of the breath is coming in, okay? So when you count your breaths, half out, second half in, that counts as 1, okay? How do you watch your breath? I mean, you could really mess up your eyes trying to stare at your nose, trying to watch your breath. It's not really watching. It's actually staying aware of the feel of the breath on the inside of your nostrils, right here, okay? As the colder air hits your nose, right on the inside of the opening here, and you feel it, you're supposed to put your mind. I always think of the gates of Hercules in the Mediterranean Ocean, and here's Spain, and here's Africa, and you're watching the ships come in and out. You see what I mean? So you're supposed to focus your mind like 2 little guys sitting here. It's like 2 donuts, really, okay? And you're focusing your mind right there. And it's not, I'm not joking. You focus your mind on a pinpoint right here, and you feel. Watching the breath means feeling the breath hit this part of your nose on each side, and then the warmer breath coming out. So really you're just parked. You're sitting on a chair right here, and you're feeling the the breath hit the nose right here, the cells of the skin right here, and then hitting out, okay? And that's what it means to watch your breath, okay? You can't watch the whole thing. It's very distracting, you know. Try to feel all the feel of the breath going down and then coming out and going out like 3 feet, and it can be very distracting. Park your mind single-pointedly, tingin zin, seichiktu number shakpa, right here, and concentrate on the touch of the breath. So that means you could have your eyes open or your eyes closed, doesn't matter. You're still watching the breath, meaning you're feeling your nose, okay? The feel of the breath on your nose, okay? And then you very subtly, you watch it come in and out. It's very important at this stage that you don't try to control the breath, okay? Let it flow naturally. You know, if you try to hold your breath somehow or retain your breath or something like that, it will mess you up. If you're doing longer meditation, you'll get a condition called lung. Lung means air, and it refers to the inner airs. When you concentrate too hard, when you try to hold your breath too much, when you meditate too long without taking a break, when you get upset at another person, you start to breathe faster, you start to breathe shallow breaths, and if it gets really bad, you start to feel a pain here, or you feel like you can't breathe. If it gets worse, you can't sleep, okay? And then that's a very bad, if it gets worse, you go nutty and you run around with your clothes off, okay? And there was a woman at the library in Tibetan library I was, who set herself on fire, I mean, after that. So, I mean, you have to be careful. This is a whole range of this problem, you see? And it starts by not taking care of your breath properly, okay? So the breath is very important in the practice. You have to be very happy and very relaxed, and just let your breath do its thing. Don't try to dictate how the breath goes in and how the breath goes out. At the beginning, as a preliminary, you're just relaxing and watching your breath go in and out, okay? The idea is to get to 10 without getting distracted, all right? This is a very cool exercise. You know, I remember the first few months that I tried it, I never got past 3. And this is like an honesty test. You know, like, can you catch yourself thinking about something else before you get to 10? And if you're really good at it, probably you won't get to 10 for a long time, okay? My lamas told me, look, if you keep getting to 3 like 20, 30 times, and it gets to be an hour and a half later, go ahead, you know, keep going. Okay, so don't like spend an hour on this, okay? Try to get to 10 if you can. You'll find yourself spacing out and going to 14 sometimes, okay? That happens a lot too. If you get to 50, like, try to stop, okay? But this is the exercise of, can you take 10 breaths without thinking of something else and without being distracted. Now in New York City, I always tell people, it doesn't count if you hear a car horn, okay? I mean, if someone slams a door and you stop, that's not really fair, you know what I mean? What it means is, you can be aware of a distraction and you come right back. You know, you can't help it if somebody honks a car horn in front of your window. Your mind's gonna go there, but if it comes right back, you can still count. You know, if it comes back before 3.5, you know, between 3 and 3.5, it's okay. You don't have to start over again, okay? That's like an act of God, right? It doesn't count, okay? So you don't have to worry about that. But what it means is if you get distracted and you start, it's not that you just think about what you're gonna have for breakfast, but you actually, in your mind, you go to the refrigerator, open it up, looking how many donuts there are, you know, then you have to start over again, okay? And the point is to get your mind settled down. And this is like, I compare it to going from, you know how you back your car out of the garage, and then you stop, and then you put it in drive and you go, you know what I mean? But nobody goes from reverse to drive immediately, you know what I mean, while the car's still moving. It strips the gears, you know, you hear this, and in meditation, it's very important to do the same thing. The goal is to put your mind into neutral, okay? It has become a practice now for people to spend their whole life meditating on their breath. This is not the point. This is not what Vasubandhu wanted. You can read the original, I can show you the original. He just wanted you to do it 10 breaths, maybe 2 times, maybe 3 times, then for God's sake, get on to your meditation, okay? Watching the breath is not a a goal. You know what I mean? People watch their breath all the time. It doesn't get you enlightened, okay? It was meant as an exercise to put your mind into neutral. And then you move your mind to an important object like emptiness or a Buddha image or thinking about compassion or something like that. But just to sit your whole career, your meditation career, and watch your breath, the breath is not an innately virtuous object. It's just a neutral object. And the point is to just get your mind into a meditative mood. It's not to sit there and watch your breath for an hour, okay? In the higher tantric practices, there are different kinds of breathing exercises and different kinds of breath, and I'm not talking about that. That's a holy thing, and you can spend your whole life on that, and that would be good. But not just counting your breath your whole life. That's not a goal, okay? It's just to get your mind into neutral. And that's the purpose of Ukjang. There's going to be 4 different parts to this number 3. A, B, C. Say Kyamdo. Kyamdo. Going for refuge, okay? Kyab means refuge, do means to go. I think the first time I came out here to you guys' center, we did 5 days of what it means to go for refuge or something like that. You know what I mean? This is a long story. It's a very, very important spiritual exercise, and I can't go into it in a whole lot of detail, but if you want to do a short Kyamdo, the ultimate Kyamdo is emptiness, okay? The ultimate protection is to understand emptiness, okay? Can this Buddha statue protect you? No. Prove it. 1 million Tibetans killed in front of their altars by soldiers. You know what I mean? Apparently it doesn't, you know, just to sit near an altar or be near an altar, it's not going to save you. That's not refuge, okay? You're not taking refuge in a picture or an image like that. It can't help you. Well, even Lord Buddha, when he was alive in this world, he was the Shakyamuni, right? Shakyamuni means head of the Shakyas. Their village was attacked by soldiers from the nearby clan, you know. People ran into his room. People grabbed his clothing and begged him to help them. And they were slaughtered on the spot, touching him, holding on to him. They were killed. It can't protect you that way, okay? An enlightened being cannot protect you from your own karma. Cannot do it, okay? All they can do is teach you how to do it yourself, okay? So when you think about refuge, I hope American Buddhism never gets into some blind thing where you're going, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dhammaya, Namo Sangha, and you're looking at some image, you know, you're looking at some statue as if it's going to protect you. It cannot. Even if Lord Buddha was sitting there, he couldn't help you, okay? The protection is your own knowledge and your own understanding of compassion and emptiness. That's the only thing that can protect you, okay? And we talked about it in some detail last night, but ultimately, you have to do a 2-minute refuge, active refuge. You know, at this point in your meditation, you're already sitting on your seat. You're already in meditation. You have to do like a 2-minute active refuge. I'll describe a 2-minute active refuge, okay? I'm having trouble with such and such a person at my office, okay? I will probably meet them today. They will probably say something to me that I don't like. And what am I going to do when they do that? I'm going to think like this, you know. They don't have any nature of their own. They are empty. Their words don't have any nature of their own. They are empty. If I was in a pure state of mind, if I had good karma, I would be hearing my holy Lama singing to me, Milarepa songs, you know what I mean? And because my mind's not clear, I have to hear my friend, my workmate saying something unpleasant to me at my office. But the reason I'm hearing something bad is my own bad karma, okay? And if my karma was good and if my mind was pure, I would hear those same words as something very sweet and holy, okay? So when they yell at me today, because my mind's not pure yet, I'm going to remember that, and I won't yell back at them, okay? And if I don't yell back at them, as Master Shantideva said, they'll go away, okay? And this is very exciting to watch in real life, you know? If you have somebody in your office who irritates you, and you continue to take refuge, you see? And the minute they say something bad to you, you're like, Jimin Yambesopa means, yeah, whatever you say, you know? I don't mind. Yeah, I probably am a stupid, you know, guy who can't do anything. You know, it's okay. I don't mind, you know? And if you keep this up, after a while, that karma wears out, and there ain't no new bad karma. So what happens? This person gets transferred. This person has a heart attack. You know, I mean, something like that, okay? And I'm not kidding. It's really amazing to watch. You know, you can purify your office. You can eliminate all of these people, okay? And you don't need a gun, okay? I mean, just patience, just love. And slowly, that office is transformed. If you're really practicing well, and this is not, I'm sorry, if this is not happening to you, you're not practicing properly, okay? Buddhist practice means this should be going on, okay? If this is not happening in your life, you ain't practicing right. Something's wrong, okay? Slowly, all the, I almost used a bad word, but my Lama said I shouldn't do it anymore. All the people who irritate you in the office will start to disappear, honestly. And if that process is not going on in a fairly steady way, your practice ain't going too well, okay? And this all comes from remembering their emptiness, okay? That's an act of refuge. What I just described is an act of refuge. Why? You just saved your rear end from going to a hell realm. That's protection, okay? The Buddha cannot hug you and protect you. The Buddha can't, first Dalai Lama, in his Abhidharma Kosha, he says, the Buddha can't come and pour water on your head and suddenly all your sins are gone. You know, the Buddha can't come and, you know, touch you and everything's okay. All they can do is teach you how to do an act of protection yourself. And that's an act of protection. And you say, oh, that's not cosmic enough. You know, I was working with all sentient beings, you know. This is all sentient beings for you. They're the people in your office. It's the people in your family. It's your husband or your kids. You know what I mean? This is, you can't relate to all sentient beings. They are representing all sentient beings for you. And at that moment, if you refuse to respond negatively, you have just protected your rear end from a lot of bad karma. And that's an act of refuge, okay? What does that mean when you're about to go into meditation? Personally, I think about the person I'm going to meet today that caused me the most trouble. And I do an act of refuge. I do role play in my mind. You know, I say, okay, what am I going to do when they say blah, blah, blah? And then I get ready, you know, and I go through it once or twice. And that is an act of refuge, okay? That's an example of an act of refuge. You will meet them later in the day, and they will come up with some new way to irritate you that you weren't ready for. And then the next day you can do a different act of refuge, okay? That's an act of refuge. And that's the only thing that can protect you. Ultimately, you have to understand the emptiness of what's going on there. And that's the ultimate protection. What's the Buddha jewel as opposed to the Buddha? What's the difference between Buddha jewel, the refuge, and the Buddha? Buddha jewel is the emptiness of the Buddha's mind and body, the Dhammakaya. What's the Dharma jewel as opposed to the Dharma? It's the direct perception of emptiness that saves your rear end. What's the Sangha jewel as opposed to the Sangha? It's that group of people who have seen emptiness directly. Are we seeing a theme here? Okay, I mean, emptiness of the Buddha's body and mind, direct perception of emptiness, and all the people who've ever done that. That is the three jewels, okay? And that's who can protect you. And that's an act of protection. It's not, please, you know, bowing down to some statue, you know, that can't protect you. Even if Lord Buddha was here, he can't help you, okay? Like that. That's that old Judeo-Christian thing. It doesn't work. It really doesn't work at all. Give it up, okay? D. We'll do Semke and then we'll take a break, okay? It's S-E-M-K-Y-E, okay? Semke. Say Semke. Semke. The Sanskrit is bodhicitta, okay? Bodhicitta. Bodhicitta can be a very, very simple thing, very similar to taking refuge, okay? If I go back to my office, if later, by the way, I did this for 16 years in corporate life. I know what it is, you know what I mean? And don't think that you can work in a company of 1,000 people and not meet some people that you have trouble with, okay? That's 2 times I avoided that word. Okay. If I had gone to the office that afternoon, and if they had come into my room and said that unkind thing to me that irritates me, almost used another word, and if I didn't respond, I have done an act of refuge. That's an act of refuge. I have just prevented Michael Roach from suffering a lot later on. Okay? I just turned off the faucet of some suffering for him later. Okay? But then look around the room. Okay? Look around the room where you are. And people are bickering with each other. People are backstabbing each other. People are having these weird thoughts. You know, we worked really hard. Our company doubled every year for 15 years. We worked like maniacs. But every once in a while, there wouldn't be enough work. And then people start getting on each other's case. When you're really busy, you don't have time to hate everybody around you. But when things are slow and you're wondering if you're going to be in the next layoff, you know, then everybody starts bickering with each other, you know. And then you watch people. The boss comes in. He says something to them. And then they say something back, you know. They've just done the opposite of an act of refuge. They've just done an act of samsara. Okay? Samsara means self-perpetuating circle of suffering. That guy yells at you, you get angry, you yell back. What's the only karma that can create a yelling boss? Yelling at them, okay? If you want to assure, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that you will see this guy again and again and again in that same mode, the very best way, and in fact, according to Buddhism, the only way, is to yell back at them. And what's the normal human thing? I mean, the normal thing is to yell back at them. So, in essence, you're shooting your toes or something, you know? You are doing it's ironic, I don't know how we got there, but you are doing the only thing that will guarantee that they will come back again. And it's this cycle like that. So look around the room. I used to work in a room with 30 people staring at 30,000 diamonds a day. You know, you're supposed to pick them up with these tweezers, you know, and you go, you know, and you sort like 10,000 of them in a day, you know. And they're all like under pressure. And then you see them getting angry with each other, having these interactions. And then you're aware that it's just like watching kids play with razor blades. You know, like if you had a group of little kids, you know, like 2-year-olds, and you threw a bunch of razor blades in there and said, play with these, you know. And they're like cutting themselves up and bleeding all over the place. I mean, a normal office, if you're a Buddhist, and if you understand the karmic scene that's going down there, it's just like watching kids play with razor blades. It's as pitiful, it's as sad, it's as violent as kids playing with razor blades. That's Semke, okay? That's an act of bodhicitta. You don't have to think about the welfare of all sentient beings, including Pluto and Mars and Neptune. You can see it right in your own office, you know, and you can get that same feeling of watching a bunch of kids play with razor blades. That's Semke, okay? So just do it for a minute or two in your preliminary, okay? And you dedicate the meditation to helping them. You know, someday may I be able to talk to them or teach them or some way affect them that they would stop cutting themselves up, okay? And that's real Semke, okay? That's a real act of Semke. Bodhicitta. And that's the end of the third preliminary. We'll take a break there, and then we'll finish the rest of them, okay? What's that? Might wake them up. Say Tsokshing. Sound up. Tsokshing. Sound up. Tsokshing means the assembly of all the lineage lamas. It's like if you're studying. I know some of you are doing the 6 practices on Naropa. This is like 32 lineage lamas, plus Lama Yeshe, Lama Supa, and then 37 different bodhisattvas and Buddhas and all the listeners and all the self-made Buddhas and Shravakas and Pratyekas and all, the 4 guardians of the directions, and then it gets. This is called Tsokshing, okay? Shing means a garden or a field where you plant your good deeds. So this is a code word for your lama, okay? Tsokshing, lineage field, okay? Sound depth means to visualize them. If you do this carefully, it will take you about 3 days, okay? You will never get to your meditation. You can either do a real dim one and feel guilty all day, but there's a nice cop-out called Kundu. Say Kundu, Norbu, Loop. Kundu, Norbu, Loop. Kundu, Norbu, Loop means just visualize your own sweet root lama, okay? And they represent all the other people, okay? And personally, for 25 years, that's all I ever did, okay? And it's fine. It's not anything less than all the lamas in the universe, okay? In fact, all the scriptures say that this person, since they are the only window between you and the enlightened realm right now, are more important than all those other guys to you. This one person who's in your own life, who's your connection to the enlightened lineage, So this one person who's alive now is more important than all the others, and that's no contradiction. They represent for you, functionally, all the Buddhas of the universe. So it's fine to, personally, if I've got to go to work in 45, we already spent about 12 minutes, right? I got to go to work in like an hour and 18 minutes or something. I do a Kundu Noble Luke, and it's even in the highest tantras, this is accepted as a very wonderful system, okay? And you visualize in front of you your root lama, okay? Somebody meditating with you, okay? Again, please don't visualize a tanka, and don't visualize a picture, okay? Start with the outline. This is the way it goes, okay? Start with the outline of this person, okay? Man or woman, doesn't matter. Ordained, not ordained, doesn't matter. The person that you relate to as a lama. And you see them as if there's a light shining behind them, and you see this out. You start with when you do the visualization, you start with the outline. And then you start filling in the eyes, and then fill in the rest of the face, and then fill in the colors of the hair, and if they have any, and then fill in the rest, okay? And this is how to do this visualization, okay? Then don't leave them a two-dimensional, the poor flat guy, Don't leave them two-dimensional. Make them breathing, make them blinking, give their body a nice scent, you see what I mean? Feel their breath on your face, you know what I mean? Make them warm, feel their warmth on you, make them live. You have to get to a point where you actually could, in your mind's eye, right? You're not opening your eyes. You could visualize this being in front of you who's breathing, happy, smiling, has their own emotions, bright, everything, like you could reach out and touch them. Okay, and this is the way to visualize your lama. Okay, so that's very important too. This is the step where you visualize your lama in front of you. Okay. if you don't have a lama, invent some perfect being, okay? If you do have a lama and you don't see them as a perfect being, at this point in your meditation, clean them up, physically and mentally, you know? Give them hair everywhere, you know? Make them never angry, never jealous, totally healthy. They say 16 years old, you know? Strong, vital, beautiful, warm, you know? Perfect mentally and physically. It's not naivety, you know? And you don't even have to buy that thing about they really are that way, but you can't see it, which is true, but you don't have to buy it right now. Just pretend that they're perfect and visualize them that way. No use to pretend some guy who gets jealous every 5 minutes or something like that. You know, in this visualization, make them perfect, okay? And it's just sweet to get used to being around a perfect person, even if you haven't bumped into them yet. Okay, it's just sweet to imagine what would it be like to be meditating in a room alone with a perfect person, okay? And just the exercise of trying to imagine a physically and mentally perfect being is it's a lot of fun. And it makes you feel great, and that's the whole point, okay? I used to feel like I was grudgingly admitting that my Lama was perfect, you know, like there was some kind of resistance to thinking of them as perfect. You know, I was like, yeah, but yesterday he yelled at me, he can't be perfect, you know, I'm perfect. But, you know what I mean? But give that up, let that go. It's not that you are like saying, oh, you're perfect, you're my God, or something like that. It's not like that. It's just that it's a very healthy exercise to imagine a physically, mentally, spiritually perfect being sitting there and meditating with you, okay? And they say, imagine that this person is madly in love with you spiritually, okay? They would do anything for you. When they heard that you wanted them to come and sit in front of you and meditate with you, they were like, oh man, finally they asked me. And they're filled with joy and their face is just beaming at you, happy with you. They're saying, finally, after a zillion eons, you know, you sat down to meditate. You're so great, you know, and they're like happy, and you got to feel this energy coming from them of joy. Okay, that's supposed to be a big part of the visualization. Okay.